nice to actually have someone sitting there. Okay, I think we're good. Well, hello out there. My name is Jason Kimberly, Executive Pastor here at Church Alive, and joining me today is Adelious Stith. He's our candidate for District 29. For those of you who may not be familiar with District 29, District 29 is by C&M. It's anything west of Unser.
Correct. Rust Medical Center down to I-40 on Unser and west, mostly.
And that's like the Eagle Ranch or Double Eagle Airport. I mean, that's everything.
It's everything over there, yes.
Wow.
Yes.
My goodness. You can't get any further west.
It's everything over there, yes.
Wow.
Yes.
My goodness. You can't get any further west in populated Albuquerque for District 29. But Adelious is representing us as a candidate for that district. Just to give you a little bit of familiarity why we are doing this as a church, our interest is to inform our congregation, our extended church networks, and our community at large, so that when our candidates, when it's time for the election in November and also in June, you have the opportunity to get a face with the name on our voting ballots. And so, as a church, we feel like that is our due diligence for you, to let you know who our candidates are and just hear a little bit about them. So that's our quest today. You will be able to log in via Vimeo, YouTube, or Facebook Live. And if you have a particular question for Adelious as we go through, I'm going to have specific questions for him initially, but if you have some specific questions, you can ask them as well via our chat. You can also go to our website at churchaliveabq.com. So, Adelious, welcome.
Yes, thank you.
You know, I was looking on your website. You've got all kinds of credentials: business leader, ordained minister, professional speaker, senior Olympian. That's fascinating. Coach and a facilitator.
And you know what all of that means?
Tell me.
I breathe.
You breathe. All right, I'll take that.
That's what it means.
Tell me a little bit about yourself.
Well, Jason, and everyone, and certainly we should appreciate what Pastor Jason is doing, because it is about information. And certainly informing people, making sure that they know what they're doing. That's, Paul said, I wouldn't have you to be ignorant when it comes to the Word of God, so we should not want to be ignorant when it comes to things that will affect us. We can either be a part of the process or we will be affected by the process.
Absolutely.
If we don't vote, we will be affected by the process.
Right.
But if we vote, we are a part of it, and we are affecting its outcome as well. Well, Jason, I came from Baltimore. I grew up in Baltimore City, Maryland. And I grew up in the hood. And, you know, like I've told you before, I was known as one of those hood rats. For 18 years, I lived in Baltimore City. I was able to get some of the most quality education that was afforded a student in Baltimore.
Uh-huh.
I lived in the ghetto, but I always had people who recognized the fact that I wanted more out of life. I wanted to learn, I wanted to be developed, and I wanted to be educated.
Mm-hmm.
So they made sure that I was not in the schools that were in the hood. They made sure I was in schools that were basically in all-white communities. My middle school, for example, Homestead Hill Middle School, junior high school is what we call them in Baltimore, all-white school. And I was bussed in. So I was on the tail end of that segregation thing in Baltimore in 1979, was still a part of that. 78, 79, something around in that time period. Mm-hmm. They were still a part of that. Mm-hmm. They were proud of having their all-white communities and the black communities, and it was a stark difference.
Really?
Especially when it came to education, when it came to athletics, when it came to anything that involved money, and when it involved where you needed support and influence. It was a stark difference. Mm-hmm. If I missed the bus, for example, leaving the junior high school, I knew it was going to be a run day.
Oh, no.
And praise God that those little white kids, they weren't serious about hurting us. Mm-hmm. They just wanted to carry out, I guess, what they were learning. Mm-hmm. But they weren't serious about hurting us because there were no guns and knives involved, but there were dogs and chains. There weren't really motivated.
Right.
But they were there to make, like I said, to make a scene and to just do what they were learning basically at home. I don't believe children are born racist. I don't believe children are born to hate. This is something that we learn in our developmental years.
Okay. And conditioned along the way.
Exactly.
Yeah. So let me ask you this: Why public office? You go in the public sphere, you suffer slings and arrows of outrageous public fortune, unfortune, or fortune, depending on the circumstance. But
Right.
So obviously, there's passion behind you, and seeing the importance of public office. Why take that step and move into this candidacy for District 29?
One thing that I told my 5 children, and the thing that I teach when I am in a speech and communications course that I teach with a nonprofit, and it's even on the website, example isn't everything. It's the only thing. Example isn't everything. It's the only thing. Leadership has a responsibility, and that is to prepare people for the unknown, to prepare people to be the best that they can be, and to provide ways so that they can do that. Mm-hmm. That's the job of leadership, to empower people, not to control them, not to hold them down and suppress them. So what I desire to do is to do what I've been teaching my children. They're all adults now, so there's no more excuse for me. I don't have little kids running around. Now it's time for me to be involved, and it's time for me to be an example, just like I have taught my children. Example isn't everything. It's the only thing. My desire is to make sure that we have a voice. That's why I'm running, to make sure we have a voice.
Are there particular issues that you are most passionate about? Is your candidacy about one particular issue? Is it about serving in a general sense as you're sharing, or is it kind of a combination of both?
There are multi-issues, but certainly I can tell you that there are things that are personal to me. When I was growing up, I didn't have an advocate. Growing up in Baltimore City in the 1970s and early 1980s, I did not have an advocate. I was 17 years old and I was raped in high school. And the man who took advantage of me is probably still out there today, or he may have passed away, but he got away with it because I had no one fighting for me. I'm doing this to fight for people who can't fight for themselves. We have young women and a low percentage of young men who are sexually assaulted. And the men, these young boys aren't going to report it because of the ego thing and the pride thing.
Sure.
What will people think of me? Well, from 17 to 49, I'm 56 now, I dealt with suicide on a daily basis. It was nothing for me to hear a voice, run into that truck, just end it all. So, I know somewhat about what a sexual assault person goes through. I don't want to say victim, really, because victim, really, it keeps people suppressed.
Changes the mentality.
And it changes their mentality to make them think that they are nothing and nobody, whereas we are something and we are everything, because that's what God has intended for us to be.
Absolutely. Well, that kind of leads me into a question. One of the issues that seems to be hiding beneath the surface is the issue of human trafficking,
Right.
Pedophilia, sex trafficking as a whole. You hear things on federal levels with NXIVM and Jeffrey Epstein. It seems like it's constantly in the news. There's chatter in Hollywood, but even more so here in Albuquerque and in greater New Mexico. We've got the I-25, I-40 corridor. I know some of the statistics in 2018 for Albuquerque.
Excuse me, I'm going to give you my Marco Rubio impersonation.
It's a little hot in here. Coincidentally, you'll laugh at this. We had a bird that landed on our power pole, so we're at 1/3 power. So we got electrical lights going on here, but we actually have no AC. It's just one of those moments. So appreciate you suffering through that with me, Adelious. Grab all the water you want. But the Albuquerque statistics, 2018, 14,000 crimes against children. Compare that to El Paso for the very same date range, 6,000. So obviously, we've got a major issue that just kind of seems to be hiding underneath the surface. And that leads me into what you kind of had shared about a little bit earlier. Where do you stand on these things? Have you researched this out? what are you convinced of and willing to achieve as you go into office?
I'm convinced that there definitely is something that our leadership needs to have a conversation about. We are situated between two major highways, and they're going east, west, north, south. So if anyone wants to get away, if anyone wants to abuse or whatever, they're only 4 hours away to the south, and it's basically nothing that we can do. But it is definitely a conversation that our leadership need to have. We need to have laws with teeth in them. We do not need to have laws that are going to catch people and we're going to release them the next day or the next couple of days. They need to pay for the things that they do. They need to be held accountable and responsible. And I don't think that our laws today are written in a way where it has bite to it. Mm-hmm. And it does not de-incentivize the activity that most people get involved in. This is why we're number one in most of the worst. And we have people that are looking to move out of Albuquerque and outside of New Mexico because of that. Mm-hmm. So the thing that I will definitely take to Santa Fe is I want our children treated fairly. I want our children treated with respect. I want our seniors treated with respect. I want people to realize that hey, there is equality.
Right.
And this is what we need to aim for. It needs to be, the equality is for us, the citizens. Forget the criminal. Mm-hmm. It's more emphasis put on the criminal's freedoms and rights instead of ours, or at least that's what it appears to be.
Right. Protection of the family unit. That's a very broad term, but it encompasses quite a bit, and it's very much in the interest of the church. Is the preservation of the family unit, things like protection of parental rights, family safety, family health, mm-hmm. education, sexual orientation, that's an issue, keeping the family unit together as much as possible. What are the things that you're ultimately looking to prioritize on the issue of the family unit in Santa Fe?
Well, it's certainly, if we look at where the community comes from, it comes from our homes. And if we educate our children, we allow them to grow and develop not according to an agenda or a political design, but to teach them things that they can be functional adults when they get 18 and older. Mm-hmm. We have parents who say, and I used to be one of those that say, my children turned 18, it's time to go.
Right.
Well, when I started really listening to what I was saying, they have no clue what they're going into. They have no clue what they're up against in this world. Mm-hmm. And they need all the help and support from us as a family. The family is the base of it all, the foundation of it all. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't matter it doesn't matter sexual orientation. If someone is saying that they're transgender, I think that we need to give them the support that they're going to need to help them, but it doesn't mean that they have any more rights than we do. Mm-hmm. So, but we do need to support our children. We need to educate them and let them know that as a family, we're there to care for each other and to support one another when we need the support. Mm-hmm.
Well, one thing I've appreciated, and I've been at APS on issues regarding family unit, and one thing I've appreciated about you, Adelious, you've fought in that area for quite a while and quite some time, and I've seen you passionately push and certainly know where you are in relation to the family units, so appreciate that.
Thank you.
Another issue, preservation of life. That can be twofold in a way. In one sense, you have the preservation of the unborn, and then end of life. Obviously, both are controversial in society today.
Right.
What are you looking to see accomplished in office in Santa Fe regarding the preservation of life?
Well, I am 100% against abortion. I'm 100% against euthanasia. These are nicely words to cover up murder, and I don't support that. The Bible does not support that. Therefore, God does not support that. God is life, He said, in the beginning, God spoke and things started happening. Creation happened. Not death happened, but creation happened. So I support life. My wife and I had 5 children. I come from a family of 10. My mother actually had 13 children, so she wasn't practicing anything.
Classic, yep.
So I support life.
Okay. Now, I probably know this coming from you having a military background, but First Amendment, specifically the Free Exercise Clause of the First Amendment, which pertains to religious freedom, for those of you who may not be aware, but also the First Amendment as a whole is relative to freedom of speech. Where do you stand on this?
Anything that is covered in the Constitution of the United States, I support it 100%.
And that would include the Second Amendment, I would assume.
Anything that is covered in the Constitution of the United States of America, I support it 100%, and I will advocate for you to have the right under the Constitution of the United States and this state, which very much is parallel to the Constitution of the United States.
Great. So I've got one last wrap-up question, but I'm going to take a look and see if we have any questions from anyone on our social internet.
Awesome.
So let's see if we have any impromptu questions that may have arisen. And let's see. I think we are good. So one last wrap-up question that I do have, and I just want to extend this. You can learn more about Adelious and his campaign and his family, for that matter, at Adelious for New Mexico. That's with the letter
4.
The number 4.
Oh, the number 4.
That's right. I've gotten confused on that. So many candidates use the number 4, and others use the word 4, so it's thrown me off. But it's Adelious, number 4, NewMexico.com. You can find more information about Adelious, what he's passionate about, and you can also donate to his campaign. Encourage you to do so. If you feel, or specifically if you're in District 29,
Yes.
he can use the support. So I want to carry that away, but as we wrap up, Adelious, how can we support and be in prayer for you, or our community be in prayer for you?
Well, the thing that the community, you don't have to necessarily live in the district to give a financial contribution to the district. $25 a month to the election, $50, $100, or if you're really motivated, $200 or more. That is really great. You don't have to live in the district to do that, but realize, without financial support, our campaigns really, there's no traction. Of course, the candidate can give as much money as we want to our campaign. However, the individual, anything $250 or more, and then there's a limit, I think $2,500. But we can only give so much. Mm-hmm. We need your help. I need your help. The voice that we need in Santa Fe is a voice that will advocate for the people in House District 29. The people in House District 29 is not being represented because the things that House District 29, what I've heard from many people, for example, with Amendment 2, the gun issue, that was something that was co-authored by the incumbent that many people have expressed dislike to. So I will not make those type of decisions or co-author a bill in that nature where it's against the people and it's against the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the state of New Mexico. So certainly, I need your prayers. If you live in House District 29 and if you know someone that live in the district, advise them to vote for me because I will be a voice for them. I will respect them and represent them the way that their values are based right now. And certainly the financial support as well. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Adelious, thank you as well. I appreciate you spending time with us and letting the community know a little bit more about you.
Absolute pleasure.
I've certainly enjoyed our conversations over the years and, in different places like City Council and APS, and I know that you're passionate about our community. So thank you so much for coming in and spending some time with us.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Blessings,
God bless.
everybody.